Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to the first episode of a brand new adventure series. Now, this is a series which will be running until the dev test becomes the stable branch. That is, the development patch is eventually stable enough that we can play the true campaign, and then that will be the main From the Depths series on the channel. But for now, I just want to play the game rather than just designing things over and over again, and I think this is the best option. So what is the adventure mode? The adventure mode is actually quite simple. We are spawned into a world, we don't have the normal third-person camera, and if we die, we die. It's the end of the entire adventure. We start off with a simple resource zone, which doesn't have that many resources, and really, it's a race against time before the enemy find us to get a working, functional vessel, and either run away, which is a perfectly valid option, or try and fight back. But the longer we stay in one area, the more enemies will spawn. And although travel can also spawn in enemies, generally speaking, you will be overwhelmed in the early game if you just stay put. So, cowardice is valor at the very start, and then eventually we'll be fighting back properly. Now, I am playing this in the dev test, which I've been told is perfectly okay, but some things are not as balanced as they could be, especially with resources, and actually this could be a lot more difficult than playing on the stable branch, just because everything's more expensive and you don't get that many more resources. At least, that's what I've been told. So, let's just get into this, and hopefully this will be okay. And yes, I'm just calling it 2020 because I am that original and that creative. And so we begin in our little resource zone. I also can't check out the map or any of that. I also can't hold up this craft in the air, which is going to make me very nauseous very quickly. So let's just quickly pop down something to make it a little bit more stable. That would be lovely, not trying to build a huge craft here. So, realistically, running away is our prime directive here. Getting enough resources that we can run away when the enemy spawns, and then just absolutely legging it. So, what do we need to begin with? We need an engine, because we do have the Heartstone as well, which will eventually run out of power, unless it's, well, powered, and that is what's keeping us alive as our life support. But then I also need the engine power for the material gatherer and everything else. So, material storage first, so we have somewhere to put that, then we can put down a storage tank, a fuel storage tank, if I can use my words. As you can tell, I'm rushing quite a bit here, since I am a little bit on the nervous side, and then what we're going to need is to put down this here, and the resource gatherers. Don't think we need more than 2 in this zone, since it doesn't give that much per second. And then we need our engine. I'm just going to go ahead and use a prefab here. Now, normally I would avoid prefabs and things like this, and actually this is the only prefab I'm going to use. But the Ecomax is almost literally the exact thing I'm about to build anyway. It is really, really simple. So, if I pop this down the correct direction, I call it simple and then can't figure out directions. There we are. It's just a basic fuel engine which has turbochargers to make it more efficient at higher RPM, that is, if it's being used at max capacity, and then it's all attached to an engine exhaust. Really, really simple. But that saved us a fair bit of time, so we can get to work building the craft itself as we harvest the resources. Yeah, so the material is going down faster than it is being replenished, so we don't really need more than 2 of these. So we'll just stay put. Now, we don't need a large craft to begin with, but we do need at least enough armor to armor up the centerpiece. Also, I want to find out, does a resource gatherer need direct line of sight to the water itself? Also, how is that underwater? It's so clearly not. So if I did this, nope, still gathering resource. That is fantastic, which means we can armor it up even more. Our first craft is likely to be incredibly stumpy. Probably no further than that, and that's probably far enough there. Maybe just a little bit more, just so we have some more space for armor. So something like that. And then I'll build up from there. Then we need to add some basic movements. I will be fully in control of the movement of this craft, but the weapons and everything will still be AI. Okay, so something like this. Now, realistically, having this underneath the deck would be a lot better, but this is just a lot easier to build with. So, this is going to be the deck itself, and then we'll build the hull underneath, obviously. Just added 1 propeller here, which will be the main propeller. We'll be adding more later, obviously, but for now, that will do. And then let's just make this very, very small. The smaller it is, the better to begin with, just because it's a lot easier to build. That is going to be one weird-looking little boat, but, you know, that's all that really matters. If we can get out of here before an enemy spawns, that'll be great, though I doubt that's going to happen. So we need to make sure that this area can be armoured up. Let's go with... We could go with the reinforced wooden armour here, which is actually really nice. But for now, I think just sheer number of blocks would actually be best. Well, perhaps. It's hard to tell, but some weapons are so good at taking out a single block regardless of its stats, whereas others are better at taking out loads. I think it might be better just to have loads and loads and loads in the way, just to help things out, though that could be very much wrong, and this could be a terrible, terrible choice. This is going to be absolutely hideous, by the way. Just putting it out there. You know, now I'm seeing how much resource we're getting and how long this is taking. I think metal armor, or at least the reinforced armor, maybe even alloy, would have been significantly better. So I will be swapping to that very soon once I'm finished with this setup. So I'm going to probably be sitting back here, so I'm not near absolutely everything, as long as I'm close enough to the Hearthstone. This is going to go down at least 2 more levels, which means most likely the propeller's going to be moved down, but that's fine. So control, let's add a vehicle controller so I can actually, you know, control the darn thing. And I will need more engines as well. This is just a very temporary engine, just so we've got something going. Gotta be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm recording this really, really late at night just because I had the recording itch, and now I'm kind of wishing I didn't because I hadn't really planned anything out past the whole, I want to do adventure mode. I should have had, you know, thoughts, perhaps. Thoughts would have potentially been helpful. Oh, look how adorable this little thing's gonna be. It's gonna be hideous, but it's gonna be adorable. Which is what people said about me as a child, actually. Okay, the next engine we'll put below the waterline. That'll be fine. Let's finish this off. Yeah, I need to start using metal as soon as possible. Don't know why I haven't swapped yet, honestly, but... Let's stick with this, because I'm not going to be buying any weapons or anything. We really didn't need to save that money. That's kind of the reasoning why normally I'd go with wooden armor here, but if we're going to run away, metal definitely should have been the option, especially around here where we're going to have important stuff. Okay, let's just pop this here instead, then. If it doesn't actually need a line of sight with the water, we can just put it anywhere. That's fine. Now, of course, the problem using metal and wood in this order is now we need a keel, because suddenly the top's going to be way heavier. So we're going to use a really, really lazy keel, which is just going to be a big block of lead on the bottom of the craft. That should keep things nice and stable. Actually, yeah, it did a great job there. That's fantastic. Need more engine power, need more armor, then we need more movement. Right now we have the very basics of pretty much everything. It feels weird trapping yourself in a giant metal box, to be perfectly honest, but sometimes, you know, needs must. Just gonna pretend I'm playing the world's easiest escape room. It's behind you! Oh, yep, there's the door. Well done. You win 10 points. This is a point-based escape room, okay? So if I want to now, I can cause this thing to move forwards, like so. Oh, though obviously I don't want to. Thank you. And I can turn it. I believe? Yeah, very basic turning. Excellent. Okay, let's turn that off. I said turn that off. I pressed the off button, right? Excellent. Lovely. Now, of course, we could use a rudder and such, but for some reason I forgot those existed just then, so I'm using extra propellers. This thing should be able to move at a terrible, but not the worst pace. Now, I'm doing this because I'm probably going to add more turning propellers later, even though I just said about the whole rudder thing. Still no enemies, which is good. Just want to keep on collecting resources until the absolute last second. I am legitimately nervous right now, by the way. I can remove those later for the propellers. That's fine. Good. And now just to enclose the top section so that we have a layer of armor in every direction. At least basic armor. We'll obviously need to add way more later, way more engines, way more absolutely everything to our hideous little tugboat. It really does look so generic and silly. I kind of love it though. There's something about speed builds. They always have like really simple shapes and really simple everything. I mean, to be fair, most of my builds do anyway, but less intentionally. Yeah, that's not good, is it? You know, the whole floating thing, that would be awesome. That's another reason to use lightweight alloy. How much buoyancy does that? This has 32. Wood has, yeah, I keep forgetting that alloy actually has more buoyancy than wood. So I could use that for armor. In fact, that's exactly what I should be doing. Yep, should be using that for all the armor we can possibly use, because that's really, really buoyant, and will force the craft to stay afloat. Oh dear. This is called both being lazy and not having enough time. What I'm going to do is add some extra side pieces here, which will act as additional buoyancy and keep us stable whilst we're moving and turning and such, and try and fight against everything else. Once again, when we have more time, we can make this a bit more proper-like, but for now, just want it to have the ability to move and the ability to stay upright. Now, I'm not making this out of lightweight alloy because, well, we don't really need the armor value here. What am I doing? And it's far, far more expensive. Do like that instead, so I can replace that bit later. Still no enemies. Oh, wait, no. Yep, enemy in the distance. Let's have a... I can't actually get out without teleporting. That's good. Enemy in the distance there might be a marauder. We are currently in the April Fool's update, by the way, so that's going to be really interesting. Lots of marauders to begin with. Now, I should have easier designs earlier on, and then much more difficult ones after that. Can I please close that? Thank you. Make me feel a little bit safer, even though the door won't really be any more protective closed. But, you know, it's just... It's instinct, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. It's instinct. The closed door will mean I'm completely safe. I'm going to make a bit of a chimney here right now for the exhaust, because I don't really have time to vent the exhaust properly. Sure. What? What is this? Oh, what have I done? It's something I ask myself way too much on a daily basis, honestly. Still way too back heavy right now, and way too buoyant on the back as well, I think. No, the buoyancy is actually okay. It's just... Yeah, centre of mass and such is really off. The keel could be a bit more extreme on the front, to be perfectly honest, and that wouldn't be a big deal. Let's just do this for now. We can always add or subtract later, which is something I'm saying way too much right now. Yep, sure. The second it attacks us is when we start moving away. We should survive a couple of hits, as long as it's not like a serious cram shot, but we will be able to see that coming if I can use my words and I'm not all stressed like. Okay, then we're going to do the same on the front. All of this can be hollowed out. Repeat after me. We can do that later. A mantra which got me through university. I mean, I have degrees. So clearly I know what I'm doing. Of course, I'm actually a microbiologist, but let's pretend it's in engineering for a second, shall we? Which is what my dad wanted me to do, but that's a whole kettle of fish we're not going to be opening here. Oh, I heard a shot, I heard a shot. Okay, let's just teleport out again so I can use my binoculars. Oh, it's fighting something else. I can't even see the other enemy, but okay, that's great. That means it won't be after us for a while, and we can stay put. Yeah, need to figure out a way of doing this so I don't get trapped every time, and I have to do this weird thing. There we go, we close that, excellent. So annoyingly, when I mirrored earlier, apparently I didn't mirror both of the resource gatherers, so we haven't been getting all the resource from the zone, so we're lagging behind a bit. So we're going to quickly just grab a tiny little amount here before we go. Oh god, what is that? I don't have time for this, but that's just annoying me. Fine, there we go, at least it's symmetrical on both sides. Yeah, you two just keep on fighting amongst yourselves. We'll just be over here doing I don't really know, honestly. Oh, lag just occurred, which means I just heard something. I heard something bad, then I sure just heard a missile. There's an enemy behind us now as well, and our buoyancy is all over the place. We are rocking, we are rolling, but sadly, not in a good way. Once again, just going to use these as stabilizers for my turn. They should help fight some of the roll, though not all of it, and also act as a nice target for the enemy, since the AI tends to just do random blocks now. In fact, that's all it can do with the aim point selection. It means that if we build lots of useless stuff like this, sometimes it'll think, oh yeah, that's a perfectly valid target. Let's not go after his face or his heartstone, let's go after that instead. Okay, we do have enough resources now for a new engine, which... do I have enough time to place that before we start running? Yes, I think we do. So place a new engine, then we can start thinking about moving out. Also, why am I building so much above the water line? That's just going to make things way more difficult later, but that's fine. We can do it later. Okay, a little bit later, and a few things have occurred. I've just added some jets to quickly get away. There are a few enemies behind us. As you can see, there's a flyer there, which I think is the flying squirrel being attacked by what I can only assume is a giant flying shark. So we're now trying to get away from them as fast as possible, which annoyingly is very, very slow. Because we need more of everything right now. So do we have enough for at least a couple of the small propellers? Yes, we do. We're going to add them annoyingly on the bottom of here. Just for the time being. Yep, that really helped. We're now going to 8 meters per second rather than 7. The shark is still going towards us. The flying squirrel's been hurt, thankfully, by the shark. And we are running out of power. So, underneath the hull, I have added a single RTG. The reason is the RTG is a free bit of resource. Well, I say free. It doesn't use up fuel and constantly generates a small amount of electrical power. That power can then be transferred into the electric engine, which will give you engine power. So that's currently our supplement power. Now, it's definitely not strong enough to keep us going all by itself, but the idea is, there's an enemy directly in front of us. Well, that's not what I wanted. Well, the idea is that is a good backup source of power. And that enemy is just getting closer and closer and closer, isn't it? Oh, that was not the flying squirrel. That had a nuke attached to it. Well then. Please, shark, go after something else. You seem to be after me. Nope, you're turning away. Good. Okay, so we just need to keep on going now until we find a new resource zone or just somewhere safe. And we are just so ridiculously slow. You know, we could have focused on speed rather than armor, but I'm a dum-dum and I decided, oh, let's just keep on adding armor above the waterline because that makes a stable and fast craft. Lathrix, are you adding decorative items right now? Yes. Are you also under attack? Yes, but the enemy is going away from us, so I am making it back to the resource zone. Now what we need to save up for is a nice basic weapon for the back here, because if we can take out some flyers, that would be great. Oh, look at this horrendous little thing. Going to add a second battery compartment at the front. And a second RTG. Once I can. Going to just remove that engine, that's fine. Already a few layers of armor there, so that's okay. That'll provide us lots and lots of free energy. At the upfront cost. Yep, so let everyone else fight, and I'm just going to make a move into the sunset, and hopefully we'll find something good. Now, is there an ability to look through cameras or something? I think there is, actually, because right now I want to zoom in and see what's going on, but I can't because I'm stuck in a metal box. Oh my god, this is my tomb, isn't it? It's a floating tomb. So yeah, that completely flipped us. So now, using some genius engineering, forcing the craft back up. Remember when I was all like, oh, it's an easy thing to do, make it into hydrofoil? Yeah, but not when you have any balancing controls yet. Is that where we came from? Okay, now I'm completely lost. Are there any enemies in that direction? If no, I'll go that way anyway. So I feel like we came from that direction. Yeah, that's where all the enemies are, so even if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. I need those resources. Already managed to flip the bloody craft. It's off to a great start. Yeah, this has to be the correct way, because we haven't passed any of the rings yet. Yep, let's just head towards that, shall we? Turns out there is a way to use third person, which is the command view. It also shows you where there is salvage on the map. It's hard to see where the enemies are, though. Is that one of the enemies? Just some random bit of smoke. Missiles there coming from the Spite! 100,000 material craft there. Yeah, this is why we run to begin with. Oops, daisy, overshooting things. We don't fight, because some of the enemies are just going to be way too strong like that. Okay, as soon as we've got the resources, we head towards the green zone, which will reset everything, including the Spites. So right now, we're not being harassed anymore, though the enemy was really close to the resource zone, so what I'm going to do is start building up our new hull. This centerpiece is literally going to be just that. It's going to be a block of armor. It was originally our craft, but now we're going to have way more space at the back, way more space at the front, and so we can start considering actual weaponry. Now, the last time I played this, like I mentioned briefly, we did use an aircraft The good thing with that is you can pick and choose your fights a lot easier. So whenever I saw a weak enemy, I just swooped in and killed it. Whenever I saw a strong enemy, I simply ignored it. With a boat, it's not going to be that simple unless we figure out a way to make it way faster. Now, there are plenty of ways to make fast boats, but first I need at least a stable core to this thing. Why have I made it so spiky? Don't know why. Really don't. Okay, let's start filling in the back as well, so we can start adding more propulsion. This is going to be weird because it's way too high up, but sure. Just for the time being. 17 meters per second, okay. It's like it's evolving. Just slowly. Here's hoping this is actually low enough. Sometimes you do need to be flying, and we can, of course, force this thing to fly. If it doesn't go straight on through. Oh, I was really hoping I wouldn't have to do this. Okay, that's fine. A little bit off center of mass, but I'm sure that won't be any problem whatsoever. Using the wrong thing, that's always good. Almost. I'm actually surprised how much that worked, considering I hadn't turned on the motor drive yet. There we go. And so we're in a new realm of existence, and because that was a green portal, the difficulty hasn't changed. I think we're already at rock bottom. So now we go hunting for yet another resource zone. Oh, and I see what I think I see. Yep, that indeed is a resource zone. I see what I think I see? I hope I'm seeing what I think I see. I don't know, it's a resource zone over there, so obviously we're going towards that. There is something really wonderful about actually controlling your own craft. We're so much more stable now, we've got a proper hull shape at least. Well, a proper deck shape, which is acting like a very thin hull. But yeah, controlling this now is a breeze. Still really slow though. Just added a second RTG, but yeah, that is nowhere near enough. We really do need a proper fuel engine. Way more than we currently have. We don't have the resources for it, so get to the next resource zone. I'm still definitely going to keep RTGs. The idea is what I'm going to do is have a control block or something which can turn off the fuel engine. So when I'm just traveling like this, there's no hurry, there's no enemies. Turn off the fuel engine, stop wasting fuel. And then completely rely on the RTGs. So a slower but safer. Ooh, right. Lovely, now it's nighttime. We need lights on this thing. We need lots on this thing, to be fair. It's going to be very fat. It's very fat in the middle, isn't it, this thing? It looks so weird with this just kind of pasted in the middle. Just testing out, and yep, you can definitely turn off the fuel engines nice and easily. But for now, let's turn it back on, shall we? And test. And let's not go into the red zone, if at all possible. Reached our first resource zone, already got a nice chunk of resource to add to what we already have, which is lovely. We can get some more fuel. Though really, we should consider a fuel refiner. I think even the basic fuel refinery might be worth it, right? The, where are you? The absolutely tiny little one. Not you. There we are. So how much fuel do we get per resource from this? So it's 10 fuel per resource. With this, we get 4,000 fuel from 400 materials. Oh, so that's the exact same then. Okay, so clearly, if we want to be efficient with fuel, we just have to use a proper refinery. For now, I'll just sit here for a while and take the resource. Though I think I am slowly moving out of it, so let's move back. So then, I'm afraid I really am all out of time for today's video. So a few things then. Why am I not building weapons at all? Well, honestly, it's almost completely because right now, ammo is not free, weapons are way more expensive. The last time I played this, I think I went with missiles first, or a very small advanced cannon, which was super cheap, and ammo could consistently regenerate. So ammo isn't technically free, you have to pay for the initial barrel, but then it will regenerate forever. Not anymore, of course. So every shot has to count. So if we're not going to reliably kill an enemy, we're gonna not see any of that resource come back, and we don't have the resource to spare. So for a while, we are gonna have to be cowards. Now there's a resource zone over there, which is great as soon as this one's finished, though I might start moving soon anyway, just to counter the whole enemies spawning from everywhere thing. So we need to go with very ammo-efficient weapons. So I'm thinking the cram cannon is a cheap weapon straight off, and it can do critical damage very easily. If we can critically damage an enemy so it can't fight back, and then I can board it, that is the best case scenario, because then we get all of their resources. Now eventually we're going to be strong enough that we can consistently fight enemies just all the time, and then we can harvest the enemy's corpses. Now that is when things are going to get a lot smoother, but for now, cowardice is still the main thing, though as soon as this hull is done, at least then we can start thinking about weapons, and we should be able to do a very basic hull fairly soon, especially if we use wood as the main element. Might build a bit smaller than this though, not too sure. Either way though, like I say, I am all out of time for today's video, so thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourite, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future, especially the adventure series. Things will get a lot more combatty and competent in the future, that I promise. This was recorded, by the way, at 4 AM. So thank you for watching, and goodbye. I need some sleep, maybe a beer. There is our future. Goodbye.